Wildflower Tea is a commentary creator on YouTube whose channel is devoted to reality TV, gossip, and trending topics. She also has a second channel where she shares things that are more personal to her, such as life struggles and her recovery journey. Please help me welcome Wildflower Tea to my show today. So, welcome Wildflower to my show. I want to thank you so much for being a guest tonight. I wish that you could have come and been in person, but I really appreciate you even coming on the Zoom call. So,
Yes, thank you so much. I am honored to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. Like I've never done anything like this, so it's a little nerve-wracking, but I'm so excited when you mentioned it. I'm excited about it. So thank y'all so much.
yeah, I'm really excited too. I mean, listen, I want to start by saying that for the viewers who are like, what did she just call her Wildflower? So, Wildflower Tea, as I mentioned in the intro, is the name of your channel. And a lot of people on YouTube want, or on social media, want to remain anonymous. So I'm not going to ask your name, your real name. Like I don't even know your real name, so I'm not going to ask that. So I'm just going to call you Wildflower to
Thank
keep you
you.
that in that anonymous place you want to be in. So
I appreciate it. Thank you so
yeah.
much.
So, I have been a subscriber of yours for probably about 3 years now. In 2020, I had breast cancer. How long have you had a channel?
It's been about 3 years,
Okay,
and
so
I know I've seen you around forever,
yeah,
so I didn't know you did all of
yeah,
this.
yeah. So, I found you during 2020. I had breast cancer, and so I was laid up that whole year. Like
Yeah,
stage 3 breast cancer. I had an entire year, a little over a year of treatment, so I didn't have anything else to do but find YouTube. And I
yeah.
remember my sister used to say, like, I'm on YouTube, and I'm thinking, what? How can you? Where's that? Like, I didn't realize YouTube was its whole world in and of itself.
Mhm,
So I found a
mhm.
ton of commentary channels that I started following. And that gave me something to do, something to watch. I didn't even feel like going in the living
Yeah.
room watching TV. So I would lay in bed and watch you guys. So tell our
Oh,
viewers who might not know, what is a commentary channel?
okay, so, well, a commentary channel to me, there's so many different branches of commentary, but basically it's a channel, a person, who expresses their opinions, thoughts, beliefs. It could be literally anything. Commentary is so big. Religious beliefs, political views. Me specifically, I talk about social media happenings and reality TV, a little mixture of everything, pop culture, really honestly, just whatever I'm interested in. There is literally no pattern to my madness. I just talk about what I'm watching as a viewer, and we do that together. So it's a really cool thing. But commentary alone is such a large umbrella. It's basically just people expressing their thoughts and opinions on things.
I love that because you said you talk about what you want to, and that's kind of what I do here. Like
Yeah.
when I first started, of course, I interviewed with my producer Adam, and of course I have to cover severe county, like 90%, 95% severe county, and a little bit beyond that. But I
Mhm.
basically get to choose my guests. Get to talk about what's on my heart, and I love that you have that freedom on YouTube as well. So.
Yes, it's my favorite thing. I started off doing like beauty content, just playing with makeup, just as an outlet, like you said, an outlet, something to do. And honestly, I was kind of successful with that as well. But one day I was just playing with makeup and gave my opinions on something, and everybody seemed to really watch that one and enjoy that one and enjoy hearing my thoughts on stuff. So throughout the years, my channel, the past 3 years, my channel has transformed with me a lot. So it's like I started off here and now I'm here, but it's really, really cool. And
Mhm.
I did not know until I made that first initial video sharing my thoughts on a topic that people even care to hear other people's thoughts on stuff like that. Political views and religious views and stuff make sense to me, but just social media happenings and TV and just whatever, I didn't know that was a thing until I did it and people really seem to enjoy it. So it's been really cool.
I think one reason, this is just my opinion, but I think one reason might be because, like, say, for example, I might feel a certain way, but I don't know if anybody else feels that way. But then when I find somebody who does, then I'm like, wow, they understand me. They get how I feel about it too. And then before long, you have all these people coming in, and you have a community. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And it's a really, really cool thing. I say it all the time. We like my community, I didn't build it, we built it. I didn't know what a community was or what support was or anything like that to that extent. And it really is that. It's different perspectives, different views being able to come together. And something I kind of pride myself on my channel, or what I try to do. I'm a flawed human, so I'm not perfect, but I try to give everyone a voice. The viewers, no matter what your perspective is, whether you disagree with me on a topic, I love having conversations. I love understanding different perspectives and a difference of opinion. I've learned so much just talking to someone with a different perspective on YouTube than about myself, about, everything in the past 3 years, that it's unbelievable, honestly.
yeah, it's pretty cool. So that's one of the things I'm glad you brought up. Like you allow people to have a voice and have a different opinion than you. Um, that's all well and good, but sometimes, like tonight's main topic is cyberbullying and the effects it can have. I really want to delve into that, and the reason that I chose you is because you stay above all of that. Like, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to like kind of go back. So, you have a channel. Your main channel has more than 18,000 viewers or subscribers. Yeah,
Crazy.
that's
It's
a
absolutely
lot. That
crazy.
is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so in the commentary community, like we talked about a few minutes before we started the show. See, when I first started watching 3 years ago, there was some mild back and forth, and people would go back and forth, and maybe somebody would say something and somebody would mention it on their channel, and it was just that mild back and forth. But in the last
Yeah.
3 years, over the last 3 years, I have seen it become such a toxic, vile place that it makes me really sad. It's changed
Yeah.
what I come to love, during that year.
Mhm.
And it makes me sick to my stomach, to be honest with you. Some of these channels
Yeah.
who are just, they go so low and they go real life and they dox people. And for the viewers who might not know what doxing is, tell the viewers what doxing is, first of all.
Well, okay. So if you look it up, this is my definition. I think that doxing is anyone sharing personal or private information with malicious intent and information that's not out there to the public. It can literally be anything. If it's personal to you, private to you, and it's not something you've given consent to share and isn't out there publicly, that's what I consider a dox. So a lot of times it can be someone's legal name, address, different things of that nature. And you're right, it happens at this point on a daily basis to so many people. It's unreal.
Yeah, it's really sad. It's really sad that people would take just a safe place like YouTube, a place where people go and just watch, and just like with me, I watched it to just have fun and have somewhere to go, and then
Yeah.
it's turned into, like, I would, like, there's some channels that I can't even watch that I used to watch, that I can't even watch
Yeah.
anymore, and I'm just like, wow. So, but have you ever experienced the cyberbullying on your channel?
Well, I I've always so the way I'll say it is I've never been bullied or harassed or anything like that. There have been times where people have expected me that, like, they put, being on the internet, a lot of times people can put expectations on you that are very unrealistic and don't even really make sense, or expectations that they themselves don't even live up to, but they put those on other people. And so I've had that happen where in the moment it felt like harassment. But then when I see a lot of what happens now, I don't feel that way now. So I've been under that like pressure, feeling like I needed to answer for something or answer for someone else's actions, not even my own, just because of my association to them, things like that. But for the most part, I'm just a viewer like you who feels very similar as an outsider looking in to the situation. And in the 3 years that I've been here, I have made connections with so many creators. I've worked with a lot of creators, and to see a lot of them be personally attacked in this way, it's hard because once I I am a empathetic person, and once I mean we've been together for 3 years, so these are people that I consider to be internet friends, whatever you may want to call them. Some of them I have that deep connection with, and it's hard to see them go through it.
Yeah.
Um, it's difficult. I think whether you're a viewer, and I always say it, creators are viewers as well. And so as much as I have this responsibility as a creator and it's something I don't take lightly, at the same time, there are a lot of things that I want to speak on or want to bring attention to, awareness on, and speak my voice and opinion. And unfortunately, because of how toxic it's gotten, whether that's to support someone else or whatever the situation is, I just do not feel like I can and also still protect myself and my family at this point, which is literally the saddest part of it. And it's
Yeah.
this like tug of war with my
Mhm.
morals and my genuine feelings. I've always tried to be very honest and fair on my channel, and to have this extra added layer of a filter to not say what I really want to say, it's hard. It's
Mhm.
hard.
I can imagine. I mean, I'm glad that you said that because I was going to ask you, what is it like? I'm sure, listen, if I was friends with somebody online, because there's been times, as a subscriber, I have gone into chats when I've seen my favorite creator being picked on. And I'm not going to say I'm completely innocent because I've made comments as well.
Oh
There's
yeah,
certain creators I'm like,
I'm sure.
I mean, and then I've gone back and I've taken them off, and I felt bad, and I did send a couple of apology emails to people, and I'm like, I'm really sorry,
Yeah.
because it is so easy to go there, and that's another thing I want to talk about
Yeah.
next, the reasons why. But how do you make that decision to when you want to jump in and defend a friend of yours who is another creator? How do you make that decision to say, wait a minute, I can't do? Is it at the end of the day? Do you say it is about my family and about my peace of mind?
A lot of times, and I say this especially in recent months because this last year, it's been a downward spiral, but this last year has been really difficult, and it's not even in just one specific community. It seems to be everywhere I look around. The toxicity has just reached a crazy level, and it's so negative and so nasty, and people attacking each other, and just hatefulness and spitefulness. And usually, when I weigh like the pros and cons of it on any topic, I want it to be, if I'm going to talk about it, I want to be able to raise awareness, be honest, share my opinions, and feel like comfortable doing so and not have to worry about putting my family in danger, because that's shouldn't be a thing. And
Mhm.
when I first came here and started doing commentary, it wasn't. Like you said, people disagreed all the time. Whatever, people may make their videos and say, well, I disagree with Wildflower. But you didn't have to worry about being doxxed as much.
Mhm.
Doxing has been around a long time, but as much, you didn't have to worry about that. And you didn't have to worry about people showing up at your house or doing things to your children.
Yeah.
I mean, it has gotten so bad now where I feel like children are such a big target. And I have three beautiful children that mean the world to me. So when I weigh the pros and cons, they're always going to come first.
Yeah.
And so I say it on my channel a lot, is you have to pick what's best for you and be selfish, but it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good
Yeah.
because morally, there's so much more that I would say if it was safe to.
Yeah.
And that's the tug of war. That's the battle of feeling like I'm not standing with my morals and fighting against these things that I so heavily disagree with because of the safety of my
Yeah.
family.
Yeah, but in the end, at the end of the day, your family is the most important thing, and your peace of mind too. Your own peace of
Yes.
mind is the most important. So, the thing that I've done, like in my while I was going to college, I did a lot of research, and that's one of the reasons that I was so into the commentary community, because I've written a few papers on cyberbullying, and I got my material firsthand from that community, unfortunately, and I would
Hmm.
see how people would act, and it was amazing. But if you don't watch, you
Yeah.
can get dragged into it. Like I said, there were a few
Yes.
times I was like, because I got that attachment to the creator, and I was like, hey, I'm going to go defend them, and I was like, you know what? It's not worth it, because like they can
Yep.
defend themselves. They're the ones with the channel, not me.
Yes.
So, but
Yes.
have you heard of online disinhibition effect?
I don't think so.
Okay, so that is basically where that's the foundation of the cyberbullying. So that is the lack of restraint that one has when they go online. They're disinhibited when they go online. It's like they're sitting behind like a keyboard and a computer screen. Nobody can see them. They're anonymous. They're just going to type whatever they want to. And so when they feel that way, they're more apt to say the nastiest, ugliest things to somebody else.
Yeah.
And so that,
Because there's
that's,
no, that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, because there's no, they feel like they're free of consequences. They're just like, I'll say whatever I want, and I'm free of consequences. But now,
Hmm.
you have these people who are like going real life. I mean, I know that's a huge term on YouTube right now, going real life. And they're calling child protective services. They're showing, going by people's homes, and then putting it on their channels. I mean, it's just, it's really bad. So, but also another thing too, there's two types of that online disinhibition effect. I think I pronounced that right. There's the benign and the toxic, and the benign can be good because, and this is, I had the benign. So the benign is like when you go on a channel and you can put your personal stuff out there, because there's been many times that I've commented on a particular topic that somebody's covered, and I'm like, oh, this is what I'm going through right now. And I have shared my personal life and my story, and I have felt connected to a community. And that's okay because
Yeah.
it's benign. But then you get into the toxic, and that's when,
Mhm.
you got these people who just come together and they all join forces, and yeah, it becomes
Yeah.
very toxic. So,
Yes.
but
I agree.
how do you keep your channel? Well, I know we talked about your family and stuff, but how do you keep your subscribers and your people who comment? How do you keep that off of your channel?
Well, it's not easy because I feel like, you know, it's not easy because once you become associated to even just one other person who maybe they enjoy the toxicity, they enjoy the back and forth, they enjoy fighting. It's hard to kind of get away from that, because whatever that community is, a lot of people will always, no matter what, associate you to it, no matter how far away you try to get. But what I will say is, I have always been very vocal when it comes to my viewers or anything like that, that if there's ever a situation, and I granted we're all individuals, everyone can make their own choices, we're all adults, but I don't want people to feel like they have to defend me or step into a situation, a dangerous situation where they could get hurt. And I've always been very vocal about that. And also, I just feel like I run things differently on my channel. Like I said, I have a line I won't cross. And if other people are crossing that line, it's really, really sad. And sometimes we may talk about it in a very general sense, but I don't target people. I try not to make it personally about one specific person, which does help as well, because then that's when it becomes personal. And then that's when the
Yeah.
fight starts. And then that's when you got to worry about all the dangerous stuff. But we should be able to talk about our opinions on the things happening. And I don't feel like it has to always be made so personal or that you have to target a specific person. So I would like to think that that's one reason why I've personally not found myself, smack dab in the middle of it, really affecting my channel in that aspect, in a public aspect. But in a personal aspect, like I said, that constant tug of war between my true feelings and my morals and the things that I want to say and are my honest opinions on things, and having to filter those out can be difficult. That's where it becomes hard, because then I feel like I'm being disingenuous. Then I feel like, you know, well, I'm being fake, or, whatever. And despite what people may think, I've always prided myself in being honest with my opinions. There's no, if there's no reason to lie about your opinions. It's just opinion. It's not a fact. It's never to try to cause harm, and I try to make that clear too. And I think just those boundaries and vocalizing those things, I always say, no matter who I'm talking about or what the situation is, I always say, please don't send hate. I say, don't be a petty Betty and send hate to anyone mentioned in this video, because that's never my intent. I just want to have a conversation. I just want to pick other people's brains and see what they think about what's happening. And we should be able to do that and have conversations without being attacked or feeling like we're in danger and things like that. So that's why I think maybe because I just vocalize it, I don't know.
I love that reminder that you give people too. And I've heard you say that many times. Don't send hate. Please don't send hate. And I
Yeah.
love that. And I feel like you mentioned a few minutes ago that you're a very empathetic person. And one of the influencing factors of that online disinhibition effect is empathy deficit. So when somebody lacks empathy, they're more apt to go in there and just, go at people. And I know, we've all heard the saying, hurt people, and that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what I do for a living outside of this show. Well, what I did, work in the mental health area. I was a therapist in mental health, but so hurting people do hurt people, but also it seems like people just want to be mean, and it's like they are taking the way that they feel about themselves and just putting it on other people, projection. So I
Yes.
can always tell the people who are extremely unhappy, the people who
Hmm.
are miserable in their own lives, because they're out to make other people miserable. And I love,
Yeah.
though, that you are an empathetic person, because that is not present at all on your channel. You don't even allow your subscribers to do it in the comment section, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah, I'm very I think there's a big difference between giving your opinion, which again, like I said, we're all entitled to, and I want people to have a safe space to do that and to share their different perspectives, and we can disagree and we can debate and we can do all the things. But when that hatefulness comes in towards another person, or it becomes personal, there's a fine line there, and I'll remove it. And that's just me trying to keep it a safe space for everyone, including myself. And people have had stuff to say about that too. But to be fair, in the 3 years that I've been here, I feel like because I've made my boundaries when it comes to my channel clear, I've not had to deal with it a lot. Now, there's been specific topics where it got a little overwhelming. Um, and, you know, like I said, I'm not perfect by no means. I'm flawed as well. Like you said, I've reacted. I've, regretted saying something. That's the thing about commentary too, is, we're not always going to get it right. Or maybe we do judge a bit harshly without knowing the full picture. I'm try to pride myself on not jumping the gun, observing, and always making it clear that we don't know what's going on with someone else. But, sometimes depending on the situation, I can react a little bit and judge a bit harsher. And I'm not afraid to say I'm sorry when I'm wrong or when I regret something. And I think those are such big things. Being able to say, hey, I'm not perfect. I snapped off last night and I apologize to you guys that I was a little sassy or a little angry or whatever it is. And I'm big on that. I think it's important to be able to, call yourself out in moments like that.
And that goes a long way too, for your channel, and retaining your subscribers, because I feel like that everybody loves a comeback story, and everybody loves somebody who is remorseful. And if you just recognize it and say, hey, I'm sorry,
Hmm.
and then change your behavior. But if it's just
Yes.
something you constantly say, I'm sorry, and repeat that same pattern, that same behavior, then it becomes like, because I was watching a person that I really enjoyed this person. Like, I really did enjoy this lady, and I really rooted for her, and I wanted her channel to do well, and I wanted it to grow. But she just seems like she's stuck in that same pattern, that same cycle. And
Yes.
now she's aligned herself with this really horrible other section of YouTube, and I'm like, you know what? I just had to give up on her because like I can't hang around and
Oh yeah.
watch that. It's just that vile stuff. I just listen. I was thinking the other day, especially after cancer, you realize that you have so many minutes, so many seconds, so many days and years in life, and you really. And the older you get, I'm 55, and the older I get, I'm like, man, I really got to choose wisely what I do with my time.
Yes.
So I can't waste my time watching YouTube where people are just fighting and screaming and back and forth, and I'm going to do this to you and I'm going to do that. And it's just, it's really bad. And I just don't want to spend my time that way. But have you ever,
Same.
has the problems that you've seen on YouTube ever caused you to just want to leave YouTube altogether? Ever just thought
Oh,
about quitting?
absolutely. Absolutely. Especially recently. And I relate to so much of what you just said too, because there's been many people, I love supporting people, especially, other creators, big or small. I don't look at that number. But it does. I am really big on giving people chance after chance after chance, especially if I do see growth or I see change. But it does. It gets to a point where you realize that that toxicity has just become a part of their channel. And sometimes you have to make the best choice for yourself. If it's triggering to you or upsetting to you, we can't do that to ourselves. And I always just tell myself that, or I try to tell myself that, the people who are willing to go so low and attack children and do the disgusting things that they do with children and families and the doxing and the personalization of it all must be miserable.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be that. And I feel like that's another thing that makes me not participate in a lot of it is I feel like if I participate and give the reaction and give power to it, not only am I helping that toxicity to grow, but that does, we're human. So after a while of participating in that, it starts to, you know, come on to you
Yeah.
and start affecting your own behaviors
Yeah.
and your own, morals and beliefs and just everything. And it can really mentally affect you. So there has been several times, especially recently, I've struggled a lot with just because the environment has gotten so bad and it is in a lot of different areas that I look of all these people I've supported and enjoyed and just whatever, and how horrible it's gotten. I do fight between, is this the platform for me? Is this where I belong? And the one and only thing that really keeps me wanting to be on YouTube is because of the community we've built on my channel.
Yeah.
It's not like that. It's day and night to that.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of that. And it's the one thing that keeps me wanting to come. I just want to stay in my little bubble, make my content, and talk with my community
Yeah.
and get away from it because giving attention to it, even if you, I've had good intentions, I've given attention to it before, but I don't know, it's something I go back and forth on because I do feel like whether you're calling it out and defending it and you're right, you can be right that this is wrong and this is bad and this is that, we're all adults. They all know it.
Yeah.
If the ones doing it, the ones not doing it, we all know it. So, me taking the time to publicly say that on my platform gives more power to it and more attention to it and causes it to grow.
Absolutely.
And so, it's definitely something I've fought with a lot. But again, and I've talked about this too, is it's a choice that I make to watch it.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to, the main thing, I want to get to a healthier place with YouTube again. And I know that it starts with me holding myself accountable by not clicking it, not watching it, and focusing on what I'm doing on my channel, the good things that I got going on for the new year, and not focusing on all of that, which
Yeah.
can be really hard when such serious things are happening. But I think it's important. I think it's really, really important to hold ourselves accountable with that.
And I love that you keep your channel positive. I mean, like you said, nobody's perfect. Your channel, I mean,
Mhm.
well, I can't see anything bad with your channel. I've always enjoyed it. But like, you don't, like, if you just stay positive, eventually that light will outshine that darkness. But if you get over there in that darkness, it's going to drag you down, and that
Yes.
negativity is going to get inside you, like you said. And before you know it, you're going to be miserable. Because the other night, and we talked about this before we started, the other night I was watching a channel that I don't like to watch, but I clicked on it because of the title, the person they were covering. I was
Mhm.
like, oh, I got to see this. And it was so gross and so disgusting that I had to click off because I was feeling some kind of way inside. So that
Yes.
person's words were affecting how I was feeling. I was like, I can't. So I had to click off of
Yeah.
there. But so I mentioned in the intro that you have a second channel called,
Mhm.
let me see here, what's it called? You
Wildflowers reality.
Reality, yeah, Wildflowers
TJ.
Reality. I'm sorry, I don't know, I went blank on that. So, and
No,
that
no,
is
no, no, you're fine.
that's where you cover your more personal, like your life struggles and your
Yes.
recovery journey. So, congratulations! I'm so happy to hear that
Thank you.
are in recovery. That makes me happy because, I told you a while ago, I used to live in Galax, Virginia, and down there is a treatment center. You probably know what I'm talking about, and it's a substance abuse treatment
Mhm.
facility, and I work there, and so
Oh,
that's really close
cool.
to my heart. Anything that has to deal with that is really close to my heart. So congratulations! I'm so proud of you. So
Thank
proud of
you.
you. So how long have you been in recovery?
It's crazy. I've got 8 years under my belt,
Good.
going on 9, which
Good.
is like more like 8.5. But it's just crazy to even think about because I remember when I was deep in my addiction, I never thought the day would come where I could be in recovery and be sober. And now it's just the time has flown by. It's flown by so quickly. And it's just really cool. It was a process for sure. But yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah.
It feels like yesterday in a lot of aspects. And I will say the damage that I created for myself within my addiction, it took me, that was a process. It was a hole I had to dig myself out of. And there, in some aspects, when it comes to like my credit, financial, different stuff like that, I'm still crawling out of it.
Mhm.
So the ripple effect is still there, but things are amazing. And you know, I just it's crazy when I think about how once upon a time I genuinely did not believe
Yeah.
in myself, and I genuinely did not believe that I could do it.
Yeah.
And it's really not that hard once you get a hang of it.
Yeah.
It's not hard at all for me personally.
Yeah. Listen, I'm
But
really
it's took
proud of
me,
you.
years to get there.
Yeah, I'm proud
So
of you. I am so proud of you because I've seen it firsthand, with the patients that I treated. I saw it firsthand, and let me tell you something. That for me, look, I've never been on that side of it. I've never, been addicted to anything like that. Listen, Gatorade, like, I mean, I have my things like chocolate, Gatorade, all
yeah.
that stuff, and stuff like that. But I mean, I can't imagine. Like, to me, it feels like that would be the hardest thing to get free of is drugs, because that gets you, it gets you like
Yeah.
everywhere. Your mental, just everywhere
Hmm.
in your body, mentally,
Yeah.
emotionally, and everything. So I'm really proud of you. For coming out of that, and you just keep on going. Listen, things will get better. I think you're really young. You look really young. I don't know how old you are. How old are you?
I'm going to be 33 on in
Yeah. So
January.
you see, you have a whole life ahead of you, that your credit can get lined
Yeah.
out. And I was thinking the other day about what was last night actually, about how we grow as humans and everything. If you'll watch a baby, when a baby's first born, they lay still, and then they
Yeah.
start to sit up, and then they start to crawl, and then they stand up, and then they take a few steps, and they walk, and then they run, and then we're adults. So everything we do in life is about steps. And so look at you, you've come almost 9 years and you're working at it. So congratulations. I'm really proud of you for that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And that's actually the perfect way to describe it because it's a lot. I'm running now. When I said, "Oh, it's so easy." It's not always been that easy. I had to crawl and learn how to hold my head up first, and that took a minute. But yeah, now it's in this place. And the main important thing for me now is just, again, respecting my boundaries, holding myself
Mhm.
accountable, even with, like, I know you mentioned Gatorade. I'm trying to do that because I do have an addictive personality. So there are some of those bad habits that I feel like I substituted with things
Mhm.
like sugar
Mhm.
and, different things like that. Coffee is a big one. I've got coffee right now and it's dang, it's, 7 o'clock. So it's like, it's a struggle, Buzz,
Mhm.
but I'm trying to, work on those things and moderate myself because I want to use it in all aspects. What I've learned in my recovery with narcotics,
Mhm.
I can use that in other aspects, in just life in general.
Mhm.
And I've just learned so much about accountability, which goes
Mhm.
kind of into the, social media stuff too, and how important it is to hold ourselves accountable.
Mhm.
You don't know until you know, but then once you do know, you have to really use those tools in
Mhm.
order to grow. And I'm big on that. I have no problem looking in the mirror and looking at what I can do better. Every day I want to be the best version of myself and for my family. And I'm really, that all came from my recovery. I didn't even know that was in me to even want that until I got in my recovery.
Yeah.
And now I just want to continue that, and just be better and better and
Mhm.
better.
I love that. I love that because that's what it's all about. I mean, that personal accountability, the responsibility for your actions, thinking before you act. I mean, because part of addiction is not even thinking about the consequences of what you're doing. But if, I would teach my patients, if you can look ahead and think about the consequences, yeah, look, I would say, look, when you leave here, because it was a residential treatment facility, I'm like, when you leave here, you can go
Hmm.
do whatever you want. I'm not your mom. I'm not going to come with you. If you want to go back to that life, you can. But before you say yes to whatever substance had you bound, before you say yes, think about those consequences. Because if
Hmm.
you weigh it out, just like with your YouTube channel, if you weigh it out, my family or getting my say in, my peace
Hmm.
or saying what I feel is right. When you weigh it
Hmm.
out, that really does change your behavior
Yeah.
and your actions. So, but one last thing I want to ask you before I let you go is, I know, you can't fix it, I can't fix it, but what do you think that we can do to reduce cyberbullying on YouTube, especially, or I mean, on the internet in general? That TikTok is bad. I just got on that TikTok thing. I now have like 186 followers, but listen, it's
Hmm.
bad. People will say all kinds of stuff. A guy commented the
Yeah.
other day on my Facebook page, and I was like, "You little troll." But
Oh
people
yeah,
can hurt
TikTok's
you.
bad.
Yeah, and people can
Oh
hurt
yeah.
you. But what do you think some of the things are that we can do to reduce cyberbullying? Where do you think it all begins?
I think it begins with people, like you said, that are extremely hurt. They're going through things in their own personal lives, and it's not an excuse, but an explanation that they want. And you hear it so much, hurt people, but it is true. And they want other people to hurt like them. So I try to keep that in mind. And it's something that I tell my kids too is, when a kid at school is kind of mean and kind of nasty to them and they come home and they tell me about it, this person's being so mean and I don't know why, and da 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 da. I say, kill them with kindness. You don't know what they're going through in their life. You don't know what's going on with them,
Mhm.
so just try to reminding ourselves of that and being aware of that. And again, it's not an excuse for people's
Yeah.
horrible behavior. And I do think accountability is really important. But I think just realizing that and having a little bit of grace for the fact that they must really be going through something horrible for them to feel like it's okay to do these things.
Mhm.
And I think, like you said, we can't stop it or, change it. But I would like to think that I believe that everybody is capable of better and changing if they really want it. So I don't throw people away, even if this person's being so gross right now. I can't support that. I'm not going to participate in that or give attention to it. But also, if they ever come around to the fact of, I'm sorry and really mean it and changing and wanting to do different, I think it's, I'm also going to show grace for that too. And people get so frustrated about it, but I really do think that's a big problem is we just, all of us, the human race, judge very harshly and judge a situation or a person or whatever very, very quickly without even really knowing what it is. So I think pausing and just taking a step back and realizing, okay, something's going on in their life. I'm not going to participate in this. Of course, protect yourself to remove them, whatever, but don't give attention to the toxicity. I think if we didn't give so much attention to it, because I know there's like science in it or something that just by human nature, we automatically, and I wish I understood this, like it's very interesting to me, human behavior as a whole, but we automatically gravitate towards that negative instead of the positive. You can have the positive show over here and a dysfunctional show over here. And a lot of times your brain just automatically gravitates towards that. And social media benefits from that so much because we're all watching it, whether it's trash reality TV or the mess, from all these different communities. And if we could take time to stop feeding into that toxicity in a perfect world and just be more aware of like, we are being a part of the problem, we are feeding into that and it's only going to get worse. So then when we feel yucky about it, and like the position I'm in right now, I feel so yucky about it. Do I want to do YouTube? Is this the right place for me? I feel that, but then at the same time, it's like, well, wait, you're clicking, you're watching it, you're making yourself feel this way. It's very much like self-sabotaging in a way. And I think we all do that by giving so much attention and power to that toxicity and the bullying and the harassment. If we weren't watching it and entertaining it and all of that and making it such a big thing, I do think it would lower,
Kind of die out. Yeah. And I love that. And one thing I used to tell my patients, like I can't control, and I told him, I was like, you can't control anybody's behavior but your own. So, people, because the last place I worked was a mental health residential facility, and we had people there for anger management, and like this one girl, she just really like she had it one day because somebody picked up her ink pen, and I mean she was flipping out, and I said, look, you can't control that person because they picked up your pen, but you can control you, and you're here for yourself, so. And I love that you stay above the fray. I'm going to say you stay above the mess for you and for your kids and for your recovery, and I love that. So listen, I want to thank you so much again for coming on. I have enjoyed this. I've enjoyed meeting you in person after 3 years of watching you. It's so nice to meet you in person. I love that. So
same. I'm so excited. And again, thank y'all so much. This was so much fun. And I'm glad to meet you too. Maybe next time, if there's a next time, I can actually make it to the studio because I think that would be so cool.
That would be great. That would be great. We have the Wilderness at the Smokies. I don't know if you know where that's out on 66. They're our official resort of the show, so you can stay there and so we'll put you up there. So so we'll make this happen again. Yeah. So, well, listen, you have a Merry Christmas, and I hope your kids get to feeling better. You said they were sick. So, but anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you. Y'all have a happy holidays and a good new year.
Oh, yeah, you too. So thank you all for joining me today for this very serious topic, cyberbullying. It's really sad what's going on in the world right now as far as like people being mean to each other, picking on each other. But I feel like we've started a good conversation today. We just need to keep it going. And tune in again next week for another exciting episode. And remember to always dream big, because big dreams do come true.
It's little hands that make a big splash. A little bit of pride after a great big slide. It's a little family time, a little bonding, and all the biggest laughs. It's the little things that make the biggest impressions. Wilderness, a big world made up of little moments. Plan your vacation at wildernessatthesmokies.com.